Hello and namaste. Dear viewers, today in this video we are going to know about the Chernobyl disaster. Chernobyl. Chernobyl, also called Chernobyl, is the name of a city situated in northern Ukraine near the border with Belarus. Chernobyl was largely abandoned following the disaster at the Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant located 14.5 kilometers (9 miles) away. Ukraine was part of the USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, on the 26th of April 1986 when the disaster occurred. The city is now within the 30 kilometers exclusion zone that surrounds the nuclear power plant. Before its evacuation, Chernobyl was inhabited by 16,000 people but is now populated only by zone administrative personnel, some of those involved in decommissioning the power plants and residents who refused to leave their homes or subsequently returned. What is the Chernobyl disaster? The Chernobyl nuclear disaster began in the early hours of Saturday, the 26th of April 1986 within the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. An explosion and fire released large quantities of radioactive contamination into the atmosphere, which spread over much of Western USSR and Europe. It is considered the worst nuclear power plant accident in history and is one of only two classified as a Level 7 event on the International Nuclear Event Scale, the other being the Fukushima nuclear disaster in 2011. The disaster took place near the city of Chernobyl in the former USSR, which invested heavily in nuclear power after World War II. Starting in 1977, Soviet scientists installed 4 RBMK nuclear reactors at the power plant, which is located just south of what is now Ukraine's border with Belarus. On April 25, 1986, routine maintenance was scheduled at V.I. Lenin Nuclear Power Station's fourth reactor, and workers planned to use the downtime to test whether the reactor could still be cooled if the plant lost power. During the test, however, workers violated safety protocols and power surged inside the plant. Despite attempts to shut down the reactor entirely, another power surge caused a chain reaction of explosions inside. Finally, the nuclear core itself was exposed, spewing radioactive material into the atmosphere. Firefighters attempted to put out a series of blazes at the plant, and eventually helicopters dumped sand and other materials in an attempt to squelch the fires and contain the contamination. Despite the death of 2 people in the explosions, the hospitalization of workers and firefighters, and the danger from fallout and fire, no one in the surrounding areas, including the nearby city of Pripyat, which was built in the 1970s to house workers at the plant, was evacuated until about 36 hours after the disaster began. Where is Chernobyl? The Chernobyl nuclear power plant is located about 81 miles (130 kilometers) north of the city of Kiev, Ukraine, and about 12 miles (20 kilometers) south of the border with Belarus, according to the World Nuclear Association. It is made up of 4 reactors that were designed and built during the 1970s and 1980s. A man-made reservoir, roughly 8.5 square miles (22 square kilometers) in size and fed by the Pripyat River, was created to provide cooling water for the reactor. The newly built city of Pripyat was the nearest town to the power plant at just under 2 miles away, 3 kilometers, and housed almost 50,000 people in 1986. A smaller and older town, Chernobyl, was about 9 miles (15 kilometers) away and home to about 12,000 residents. The remainder of the region was primarily farms and woodland. What is Pripyat? Named after the nearby Pripyat River, Pripyat was founded on the 4th of February 1970 in northern Ukraine, which was then part of the Soviet Union. It was built to house the employees of the Chernobyl nuclear power plants located 4 kilometers away and became the 9th nuclear city in the Soviet Union. Pripyat was officially proclaimed a city in 1979 and had a population of roughly 49,400 prior to being evacuated on 27 April 1986 following the disaster at reactor number 4 the day before. Pripyat now lies within the exclusion zone and remains uninhabited due to the high levels of radiation. Long-term impacts. The impact of the disaster on the surrounding forest and wildlife also remains an area of active research. In the immediate aftermath of the accident, an area of about 4 square miles became known as the Red Forest because so many trees turned reddish-brown and died after absorbing high levels of radiation. Today, the exclusion zone is eerily quiet, yet full of life. Though many trees have regrown, scientists have found evidence of elevated levels of cataracts and albinism, and lower rates of beneficial bacteria, among some wildlife species in the area in recent years. Yet, due to the exclusion of human activity around the shuttered power plant, the numbers of some wildlife, from lynxes to elk, have increased. In 2015, scientists estimated there were 7 times more wolves in the exclusion zone than in nearby comparable reserves, thanks to humans' absence. Chernobyl today. Today, the region, including within the exclusion zone, is filled with a variety of wildlife that have thrived without interference from humans, according to National Geographic and the BBC. Thriving populations of wolves, deer, lynx, beaver, eagles, boar, elk, bears and other animals have been documented in the dense woodlands that now surround the silent power plant. Nonetheless, a handful of radiation effects, such as stunted trees growing in the zone of highest radiation and animals with high levels of cesium-137 in their bodies, are known to occur. Can I visit Chernobyl and Pripyat? Yes. Although visitor numbers had been growing steadily, since HBO's miniseries Chernobyl aired on May 6, 2019, there has been a spike in visitor numbers. Kiev's tourism board expected 100,000 visitors to Chernobyl by the end of 2020, compared to the 70,000 in 2018 and 8,000 in 2015. The exclusion zone was officially reopened to tourists in 2011. Numerous tour companies offer day trips from Kiev or longer stays of up to 4 nights. Is Chernobyl safe to visit? Both Chernobyl and Pripyat have been deemed safe for tourists to visit since 2010. However, tourists have to be screened before they visit and checked for radioactive particles after they leave. Tourists are also told not to touch objects that have been cordoned off and not to sit down anywhere. According to BBC News, an estimated 60,000 tourists visited the area last year, the same size of the population of the cities before the incident. Thank you for watching. If you like the content in this video, then hit like, share and subscribe this channel. Thank you for staying in this channel and watching the video till the end.